Hello and welcome. I'd like to start with a few deep breaths. So you may be standing or seated cross-legged. I'd like to bring your hands together, shut your eyes, and we're going to take a deep inhale with our arms. Two more. One more. Lovely. We're going to start on all fours. So if you could come onto all fours for me, and we are going to be doing some rainbow legs after our first set. So just have enough space that you can move your feet from side to side. Okay, but to start with, I'd like you to have your wrists under your shoulders, your knees hip width apart, and your knees under your hips. The first exercise is take on Superman. So eyes down, deep inhale, and on your exhale, I'd like you to bring out your arm and the opposite leg. Inhale here, and on the exhale, I'd like you to bring your toe to that hand. Inhale, exhale, release, inhale, exhale, return to the ground. And now we're going to repeat this on the other side. Inhale, exhale, bring your arm and the opposite leg out to the side. Inhale, exhale, bring your toe to that hand. Ooh, takes a little bit of balance. And eyes should be down to the ground. Inhale, and on the exhale, release. Inhale, exhale, return to the ground. So eyes should be between your hands. Imagine you're reading a really good book. Inhale, exhale. Inhale, bring that toe to the hand. Inhale and exhale, release. Inhale. Exhale to the ground. Inhale. Exhale out like Superman. Toe to hand, opposite hand. Inhale. Exhale, release. And back down again. So I'd like you to do this with your own breaths. You inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Find that toe. Inhale. Exhale, release. Inhale to hold. Exhale down. So with your own breath, please continue. So with your own breath, I want you to be doing deep lateral thoracic breathing. So this means you're expanding your rib cage, really taking in that oxygen. And in Pilates, you exhale on the effort. So you exhale effort. Nice way to remember it. And breathing really helps with the concentration and focus that Pilates requires. Now I like this one because there's a little, we're working the core, we're working the glutes and the hamstrings, but there's also a bit of stretching here. So I can just, a nice little stretch there of the thigh, which is lovely. And that elongation, when we go into Superman there, elongate, so point your toes, stretch your hand forward, and then come in for that nice little touch. And then again, stretch those toes, stretch your hands forward and down. So you should be engaging your core to that 20 to 30%. And by that I mean those deep core muscles, keeping them engaged throughout all of our Pilates exercises. So we work the core, we strengthen the core throughout everything we do, which is so important because strengthening that core will help protect your back, help protect your internal organs, and give you that strength when you're doing all sorts of things, when you're lifting, when you need any kind of, opening a jar, all that strength. You may think it's your biceps, but your core is supporting that. Good job. One more each side. This is a lovely, lovely maneuver. Well done. Now you may come down into child's pose if you like. So knees apart, toes together, chest between the knees, and pull yourself forward. So stretch those fingers forward and head down on the mat. Take a breath here. Really fill that rib cage. Good job. I'd like you to come back onto all fours. And so that's knees under the hips, hip width apart, wrists under your shoulders. Perfect. Okay, we're going to be doing a rainbow, and we're going to alternate with our toes. We're going to draw a rainbow with our toes and we're going to alternate. So deep inhale here. On the exhale, lift one of your legs, and then we'll have pointy toes, so plantar flexing, and we're just going to paint 10 rainbows with our toes. So that's 2, 3. Now keep breathing. Actually, do a bigger rainbow. That was a bit of a small rainbow I just did. Let's do a bigger rainbow. Lovely. But the range of motion should be within your comfort levels. So don't push yourself. Certainly shouldn't be painful. None of these movements should be painful. If they are, please stop. They should be challenging, but not uncomfortable. Nice rainbow here. Deep breathing, your own breath. I must confess, I've stopped counting, but I think we're almost there. So we're just going to do one more rainbow each side. Lovely. Okay, and bring that knee back. And we're going to change over to the other one. Oops, sorry. Let's do it properly. So inhale. Exhale, lift the leg. And then start drawing your lovely rainbow. I think we need a rainbow in the sky today. It's been very drizzly all morning. I went for a walk in the rain because my dog needed a walk. We still had fun, but it would be nice to have a rainbow in the sky. So engage that core to 20 to 30%. Engage your pelvic floor to that 20 to 30%. Pelvic floor is so important for both men and women. I think that it's mostly talked about for women for obvious reasons, such as childbirth. But if you're a man and you don't want to have to get up in the middle of the night to pee, and you just want to continue with that strengthened pelvic floor, then do some pelvic floor exercises, or do these exercises and engage your pelvic floor to that 20 to 30%, and it will really help you, especially if you're an older man. Okay, and then bring that back into the knee pose. Well done. If you'd like another release stretch, you may go back into child's pose. Well done. Now, I enjoyed that rainbow. Hope you did too, because we're going to do another rainbow, but this rainbow is going to be in side plank. So I'd like you to have one wrist under your shoulder. I'd like you to have your knee on the ground and your feet pointing backwards. I'd like you to have your other leg stretched out straight, and your toe can be in plantar flexing, so pointy toes. And then, so check that alignment there. And your hand can be resting on your hip, it can be resting by your side, however you feel most comfortable. And we're going to do a rainbow going forward. So deep inhale, exhale, move that toe. And it's not a full rainbow because I'm not going back behind myself. I'm just going forward and then bringing it back again. So now with your own breath, continue. Good work. 5 more. Engage that core, engage that pelvic floor, and deep lateral thoracic breathing. Almost there. Good job. So bring that back, legs back together again. Well done. Now I've warmed up nicely, so I'm just going to take the jumper off, and then we're going to continue. Okay. So we're going to continue with a high lunge. So I'd like you to come into a lunge position like this. It's a long lunge or a high lunge. So I'm creating a right angle behind my knee here, and my other leg is out with my toes on the ground. So I'm just going to come up slightly. Conscious you might not be able to see me, but what we're going to be doing is just staying in this pose and just doing some breathing. So I'm going to raise my arms above my head, and then I'm going to breathe. Inhale, exhale down, come up and round. Inhale, exhale down, up and round. Inhale. Good job. So I'd like you to bring the back leg to the mat, the knee on the mat. Push your other leg backwards. Bring in your front one. Raise that toe. Come up. Inhale. Inhale at the top. Exhale going down. Good job. Well done. Excellent. So now what I'd like to do is the side plank on the other side. So just moving to your side, we're going to have one leg out, your wrist under your shoulder, and we're going to hand on hip if that's most comfortable, whatever's most comfortable for you, and we're going to rainbow out and rainbow back again. We're going to do one more exercise after this, which is going to be the shoulder bridge. But we're going to do lots of variations with the shoulder bridge. 5 more. Well done. Okay, and back into your knees. Excellent. Right, let's get down for that shoulder bridge. So come into lying supine. So lying on your back on your mat. And we're just going to set up for a moment. So I'd like your feet flat on the ground. I'd like you to imagine a gold thread coming out of your head and pulling you nice and tall to the back of the room. I'd like you to find your neutral spine. So tilt your pelvis back and forward, and then just bring it slowly to a still, comfortable place. So you can have a gap between your spine and the mat. It shouldn't be flat back. That's not your neutral spine. So you find a neutral spine. I like to bring your hands to your abdominal muscles, and I'd like you to find your 20 to 30% of engaging your deep core muscles, your transverse abdominal muscles. And I'd like you to engage your pelvic floor to that 20 to 30%. And we're going to do a couple of deep breaths here. So hands on your rib cage. And again. Good job. Okay, arms by the side to start with, and your knees should be hip width apart. We're going to go into tabletop. Sorry, we're not going into tabletop. So we're going to go into shoulder bridge. But we're going to just start by just tilting the pelvic floor. So we're going to do an inhale. On the exhale, we're going to tilt, but we're not going up. We're just finding that nice tilt. So inhale. Exhale, tilt the pelvis. Nothing more than that. And that's what we're going to do at the beginning of each shoulder bridge as we go up. It leads with the pelvic tilt. So we tilt the pelvis and then we rise up. Here we go. Inhale. Exhale, tilt, and then peel yourself off the floor one vertebrae at a time. Now we're into our shoulder bridge, and there should be a nice diagonal line running through your body here. Now, if you're a beginner, I'd like you to go back down to the mat and you can rise and fall with your own breath, and that can be your shoulder bridge. But if you'd like an optional progression, we're going to remain here and we're going to do some breaths. Exhale. Now we're going to introduce a heel lift. So inhale, exhale, lift the heel. And we're going to continue just alternating. Make sure your hips are nice and raised in that diagonal. And we're just going to alternate each heel. And this is our first progression. And we're going to have several progressions. Nice deep breathing. Okay. Now the next one we're going to introduce a leg lift. So inhale. On the leg lift, I just want you to hinge at the hip and put your leg into tabletop. And we're going to alternate these with your breath. So I'm hinging at the hip, I've got a right angle behind the knee, and my shin is in tabletop. Make sure your hips stay lifted. You'll see I dropped those accidentally for a moment, so I'm just making sure they're lifted. Use your breath for the control. We're going to do one more each side, and then we're going to do another leg lift. Final one on this side. But this time with the leg lift, it's going to be a straight leg. So inhale. And you'll see I'm keeping my thighs parallel. There are other variations that we can do where you lift your leg higher, but this one, I quite like this one because although it's not demanding on this hamstring in terms of pulling it up, it's not a stretch move, it is more demanding on keeping those hips high, and it is demanding on this hamstring. So that's why I quite like this one. With your own breath, alternate each leg. Keep that core engaged, that 20 to 30%, and keep that pelvic floor. So just want you to take your mind to your pelvic floor for a moment. So it's that, you're underneath and it protects all those internal organs and those pelvic organs, and you want it to be nice and strong. You don't want it to be tight. So you don't want to be walking around all day holding to your pelvic floor, because that's just going to make it really tight. And if it's tight, you don't have control. You want strength. And all these exercises really help with that. Help with your core, help with your overall well-being, help strengthen your hamstrings as well, which I find if I don't do Pilates, my hamstrings feel weak fairly easily if I'm doing a lot of running around after a toddler and picking her up a lot. Okay, I'd like to do one more on each leg, and then we're going to give the legs a little bit of a rest, and we're going to introduce the arms. So deep inhale here, Make sure your hips are up. I was dropping mine a little bit, which is naughty. So inhale. Exhale, arms over the top. Inhale, arms back. If you want to be challenging your pelvic floor a little bit here, inhale here and exhale, squeeze that pelvic floor up to more like 100% and then release on the inhale. So inhale, squeeze, 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 and release. And release. Squeeze, 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 and release. One more. Good job. And now very slowly, vertebrae by vertebrae, we're going to come back down on the floor and your pelvis should be the last that arrives on the floor. Excellent job. Well done. So that's it for our workout, but we are going to do some really good stretching, starting with a full body stretch. So take your fingertips to the back of the room and take your toes to the opposite side as far as they will reach. Good job. Now we're just going to come back and I'd like you to take your knees into your chest and just give a little bit of a roll to massage that spine. And then what I'd like to do is take one leg at a time. Just put your ankle over the opposite knee and then you're going to take in from under the thigh. You can rest your head if you like. This elbow is going to push away the opposite knee. So this is so nice for your sciatic nerve. So it's really good through your bottom because it just releases any tension there. And given we were just doing that shoulder bridge and staying in that shoulder bridge for quite some time for a nice challenging length, then you do want to release any tension in your bottom. So I'm just pushing the opposite knee away with my elbow and I'm just pulling in the other leg, this leg, underneath the thigh. That's lovely. It's a really nice stretch. And then we're just going to switch. If you are a runner, you might find that you sometimes have a bit of a sharp pain in the bottom, and that's your sciatic nerve. It's the tension around it, and this will really solve that, or at least it did for me. I haven't run in 2 years, but when I used to run, this was a great release. And then we are just going to do a hamstring stretch in our lying down position. But if you'd rather, you can do hamstring stretches standing as well, so do them however you're most comfortable. But I do just want to, in one moment, do that hamstring. Okay, great. So for the hamstring stretch, put out one leg straight ahead of you and the other leg going up. Now, if you'd like, you can hold this leg behind the thigh or behind the calf, or for those of you who are very, very flexible and have your leg over here, you might even be touching your foot. I'm not that flexible, but please don't grab it behind the knee. So I'm going to go behind the thigh. And you can move. You could start behind the thigh, and then you could just challenge yourself a little bit further, turn it into a developmental stretch. So a maintenance stretch, we hold it just for a few seconds and then release. Developmental stretch, we hold it for a few seconds and then we hold it, we take it a little bit further, take the stretch a little bit further and hold it for a few more seconds. So you'll be holding it for about 30 seconds in a developmental stretch, or I think sometimes I hold it a little bit longer, just if it's a really nice release and I can feel it there, which is lovely. And we're going to exchange legs. So this one goes up. So I'm going to start with it behind the thigh, and then I'm going to move to behind the calf. And you'll feel a different stretch if you have your toe, your foot in dorsiflexy, which is this, or naughty toes for those of you who did ballet, compared to plantar flexi, which is pointy toes or good toes. As you feel that different stretch, I can feel it all through here. It's quite nice to alternate it actually. You don't want to do it too quickly, but so I'm just going to take that stretch a little bit further by taking it behind the calf here. And you'll see my knee is not perfectly straight because I'm not that flexible, so I can try and challenge myself and try and straighten it a little bit further. So again, challenge yourself, but within your own range of motion. So it shouldn't be painful. Good job. Well done, everyone. Now, I just want to take that stretch a little bit further. I'm going to put my foot into my thigh, cross-legged there. I'm just going to take it forward here and bring my head down slightly. I'm going to take an inhale here. One more. Then we're going to switch the other side. So foot into the thigh. My toe is in dorsiflexing. I'm just going to go forward and breathe here. And you will find most people are more flexible on one side than the other, or they have more of a tightness in one side. So I'm tighter this side, I can really feel it. Some of you will have your forehead on your knees right now, and good for you, but it's not me. And don't push yourself to do that unless it's within your range of motion. One more. Good job, well done. So come into a seated position and we will finish how we began. Deep inhale, we're gonna use our arms there, hold on, here we go. Two more. Last one. Well done. Have a wonderful day and thank you so much for joining us.